Well, the pain and suffering of losing in Philadelphia finally came to an end yesterday. And why not? Both teams get the win. Sixers with the win over the Pacers. Flyers with the win over the Knights. Man, did both teams need it. They both needed it. Good morning, John Kincade. How are we today?
That was a good way to go to sleep. I said I slept almost directly to the alarm this morning. And I think part of it was because of the fact that I went to bed with a good feeling in my head.
That's probably will actually help. I would imagine it does. Like you're not upset or thinking about collapses because the Flyers had lost 5 straight.
Flyers
going into
had
that
lost
game?
5 straight. Had a 6-game losing streak, but a pointless streak in 5. And that was a big win last night in Vegas. Maybe you can split the next 2 on the road trip and come home. That's a good road trip, and then maybe a build off it before the All-Star break comes up. I mean, the Olympic break comes up.
Yes, that would be nice. And then the Sixers, I get it, the Pacers stink, but they needed a win after the 2 straight losses to the Cavs. They get the win yesterday, and of course the happy news during the day. I understand that you're not always pro individual accomplishment, especially when your teams aren't all that great. But it was nice to see Tyrese Maxey named a starter for the Eastern Conference All-Star game, something that I still kind of can't believe is the case.
I'm proud of him. No, I'm proud of him. MVPs don't do anything for me.
Right, I got you.
Like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like someone saying to me, boy, let's talk about that MVP season for Embiid. Does nothing for me.
Right, you want championships.
I want to. If you tell me about the playoffs that year and everything like that, like I can get excited about it.
But it was nice to see Tyrese Maxey get that.
I can't believe it either.
I mean, look, when he gets drafted 21st overall, shout out Mike Muscala. When he gets drafted 21st overall, I don't think anybody expected this ever.
I liked his game in college.
Sure.
But I got to tell you, I thought he was a situational type player, a cog in the wheel. I did not see him ever being a star.
Tyrese Maxey in college shot 28% from 3.
Yeah, he couldn't shoot.
28%.
And I thought he'd be a cog in a wheel that could develop his shot, that on a good team, he could be one of your 4 guys that does something. I never thought he could be one of your maybe 2 guys that leads a team.
Yeah.
And so, Tyrese, congrats to you. Cheers.
Shooting 40% from 3 this year, leading the NBA in minutes per game at 39.4 minutes per game, averaging 30.2 points per game, 6.7 assists per game. And how about 8 steals last night for Tyrese Maxey?
And that's incredible.
Because defense is not necessarily his forte. He tries to jump the passing lane, sometimes a little too much. Sometimes it actually hurts the Sixers, but you saw 8 steals from him yesterday. Good day for the Sixers. Good day for the Flyers. Good day to wake up and not be miserable. So let's talk about the Eagles to change that, shall we?
Well, maybe we won't be miserable. Maybe there'll be something where we can look forward to and we can find a silver lining.
Well, you know what this show is all about. This show is all about fixing the Eagles. Because that's what we are paid to do. The Philadelphia Eagles are constantly listening to Kincade and Salciunas from 6 to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday, to hear our solutions for the football team. That's what they do.
I can assure you that they listen, because I've either gotten enough dirty looks or I've gotten enough questions about things that we've said.
I'm sure.
So I can tell you, I assure you that they listen.
So yesterday we did our little post-show promo for today. And if you were listening throughout the day on 97.5 The Fanatic, you heard it. And I believe that I have the number one thing the Eagles need to fix for the 2026 season to get back to sort of where we want it to, and it has nothing to do with the offensive coordinator. Well, maybe it does, kind of, because I do believe he's part to blame for what's going on. John, the number one thing this Eagles team needs to fix is all the drama that they're dealing with, because there's way too much of it. There's way too much. And it started with A.J. Brown during the season, but it wasn't just A.J. Brown. There's weird stuff about Jalen Hurts. There's weird stuff about A.J. Brown. Every time things seem to go poorly, leaks from the coaching staff seem to come out about this guy doesn't want to do that. This guy doesn't want to do that. Don't blame this person. Blame that person. And I just feel like there's been a lot of finger pointing. And I understand when you have expectations and you have high standards for yourself and you don't even come close to those expectations and standards, people are going to start pointing the finger and blaming everybody. It's got to stop. Like, this is one of those situations where, unfortunately, Jeffrey Lurie's going to have to once again put together people in a room and tell them to cut it out. And it's not the first time he's done it. He did it with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts a couple of years ago. He had to go to the freaking practice field this year to tell A.J. Brown to freaking stop with the tweets and the Instagrams and the janky rondos, right, and the Twitch streams. He had to go out there and say, can you freaking cut it out? This team is the defending Super Bowl champions, and my captain is whining about the offense.
Breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and...
What?
I didn't hit anything. I legitimately just went off.
Oh.
Is that Ghost in the Machine?
Yeah,
Okay.
it goes to the machine.
Let's try to regroup here.
No, but I'm saying is you're saying Jeffrey Lurie had to do that. When you're talking about had to go down to the field and do that with A.J. Brown. The thing is, though, he really didn't. He went to the field.
Yes.
But what did he do? He coddled A.J. Brown. He treated him with kid gloves. He did the, A.J., he didn't take the stern fatherly
Well, he did get him to
routine.
stop doing all the
He
nonsense.
But
publicly.
he's doing like the hug routine and the thing. Instead of doing dude, I pay you a ton of money.
Sure.
You're supposed to act like a professional. Stop acting like a teenager on the internet. You're a grown man. Start acting like that. So that sort of disappointed me. I get your point, though, and your point is right. It's got to stop.
It's got to stop. I mean,
And
there was way too much of it.
Does it stop? Does it only stop by divorce? Does it only stop by saying he's gone? Does it only stop by saying, or can anyone get tough in that building?
So here's the thing. I was going to save this for later, but hell, you asked me, is it only going to stop with the divorce? Is the divorce the best thing? Because if you believe look, I understand. Let's get this out of the way first. I understand there are a lot of Eagles fans that don't believe anything that's ever said poorly about the Eagles. Right?
Oh, there are.
We do this every day. We react to reports. And a lot of the times, our reaction to the reports is, why are you talking about this? This isn't real. This is fake news. Somebody's just doing this for clicks. None of this is true. Guys, let's face it. Gals, let's face it. A lot of it's true.
No, it's
All right?
true.
It's
well,
true.
who's saying it? I mean, I can tell you, it depends on who's saying it. There's some of the content aggregators that I don't believe.
Absolutely.
Someone like Jeff McClain puts his name to it. I can tell you I believe it because he goes in he's there every day.
Yeah.
And these guys, they would be shunned.
Absolutely.
They would never be able to show their face in that locker room if they were going in there making up stories.
Tim McManus is not making up stories. Joe Santoliquito, who a lot of people
not making up
ripped
stories.
for the Carson Wentz story. If I was Joe Santoliquito, I would walk around the city of Philadelphia with two birds up sometimes because his house was literally vandalized. Or, sorry, they got the wrong house. They vandalized his neighbor's home over an article about Precious Carson, and then it ended up being completely true.
Joe was completely correct.
And now people are upset that he's talking about A.J. Brown, how A.J. Brown was requesting a trade back in week 3. Oh, how do you believe that story? I believe it. Especially, how can you not believe it? With all the drama that happened throughout the season, how can you just say none of this is true?
Joe has had a long history of getting it right.
Absolutely.
And Joe is a guy who I know, well, since the 9th grade, he has integrity. Yeah. So I would put my stamp on integrity on him.
So you ask, is the best thing a divorce? I don't know if that's true. Because here's another thing that I'm going to bring up. The Mike Silver report that we talked about yesterday, how a lot of people are upset around the Eagles that they seem to coddle Jalen Hurts. They're afraid to tell him and coach him up, which I think that is wrong because I believe that's just somebody that's upset in-house. I'm not saying that Mike Silver wrote a quote and made something up.
No, I believe Mike Silver heard that.
Right. I think whoever is saying it is sour grapes. Because all we know from Jalen Hurts' career is that he is not afraid to be coached. He's not afraid to be yelled at if the appropriate time calls for it. We've seen Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, forehead to forehead at one point, and it didn't end anything. They've won the Super Bowl since that moment. So I don't really necessarily believe who it's coming from, but I believe that somebody is saying it. That same report mentioned that A.J. Brown is not the only person that's frustrated with the quarterback. So if you get rid of A.J., just like, hey, we got to end this, get rid of him, what if there are people, much like the Nick Castellanos situation with the Phillies clubhouse, that go, well, not everybody feels that way about A.J.?
Well, I truly believe, just using the Phillies example, I can speak from confidence that there are many people in the Phillies clubhouse who would not want to see Nick Castellanos go.
Right.
Now, that's from a personal standpoint.
Sure.
I can't speak to what they think of his skill set as a player. But as a personal standpoint, if there was a bar fight,
more people would have Nick's
and Harper was on one side and Castellanos was on another, I think there's many that would, jump on Nick's side of the fight. And that's a personal thing.
So I don't know about AJ.
But
what if Devontae?
No.
I'm not trying to make things up. What if Devontae doesn't like the way the offense is run
but
through
the thing
Hurts?
is,
I don't know.
Okay, would you and this is something that I know because I know it of you and Connor. You don't blame AJ for his frustration.
No. I agree with a lot of his frustration. It's just how he went about it.
And we don't blame him either. So none of us blame him. But one thing I do blame him for is making it public.
Sure.
Because to me, that's how a child acts. That's not how a grown man acts in a business relationship. That's not the whisper down the lane crap. That's not it. I would much more respect a guy if he's so frustrated if he just came out and said it.
Yeah.
Put his name to it and said it. I would so much more respect that. Now, I would also consider it to be, wow, that is like dropping the bomb. You're dropping the nuclear bomb, but you're also not acting like, the kids at the middle school lunch table. You're handling your business like an adult. And to me, the Eagles absolutely did not handle their business. Some of them did not handle their business like adults, and other Eagles have had to try to squash the fire all year long.
So I think the number one thing this team needs to fix right away is figure out how to get past this drama, because there's way too much of it. And it felt like all season long, we joked about it yesterday, all my Eagles, all my children. We did a segment on it. Like, it's also kind of serious. Like, if we could put the jokes aside, when I'm hearing complaints about the quarterback and it's clearly coming from the coaching staff, that's wrong. Like stop. Enough of this texting Diana Rossini. Enough of this. Because one of the things that we have had so much pride for the Eagles about and how proud we have been about the Eagles has been they've been pretty tight-lipped over the years. Nick Sirianni, one of his best traits that we have talked about over the years is that he has been able to keep a lot of things in-house. During that collapse in 2023, there wasn't a bad story until the day of the Buccaneers game, the playoff game, right? Like, throughout the collapse, we didn't hear anything. Everybody spoke like a man, right? I remember Fletcher Cox spoke. Brandon Graham spoke. The messaging was always different, but there was no whisper down the lane. There was no anonymous sources. The day of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playoff game was when Tim McManus wrote the article that Jalen Hurts did not see eye to eye with Nick Sirianni when it came to the play calling and the offensive mindset. He sided more with Brian Johnson. And then Brian Johnson gets fired a couple weeks later. And then there's the weird Sirianni-Jalen Hurts stuff, right? But they squashed it at camp. Whether you believed it or not.
But it was real.
With the golf cart and Big Dom's driving the golf cart. Whether you thought that was just let's put our smiling faces in front of the cameras. It was real. They tried squashing it. They win the freaking Super Bowl later on that year. This year, since week one, I felt like we were complaining about something that wasn't necessarily on the field half the time.
And the problem that I had with it all is that they were 4-0.
Yeah.
They were 4-0. Is that you at that point have to say, we are winning, but there's stuff that needs to be corrected. The only thing I agreed with of the griping and the grousing all year long is when A.J. Brown did it publicly, is when he stood there publicly at his locker and said, we keep talking about the fact that this stuff's going to get corrected. But if we don't correct it, it's not going to work, and then it's going to kill us in the playoffs. By the way, A.J., he's not Nostradamus. He was exactly correct.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. There's nothing wrong with doing that as a player. There's nothing wrong with doing that as a captain, with speaking up and saying, this isn't good enough. I want this team held to a higher standard, because I think AJ holds himself to a higher standard. I think he holds himself to a standard but his play this year, I would love to have heard AJ at one point lead with the eye. I could play a lot better this year.
Sure.
I have not played my best this year. I have not exactly dove for balls that I could have potentially caught. I have not exactly played at the highest level this year. So we all need to raise our level. Instead, the A.J. Browns and the people who want to whisper down the lane are pointing fingers.
Well, and it's not just A.J. Like the Jalen Hurts not wanting to run the football thing.
Well,
I swear that's coming from somebody in the coaching staff. And Jalen Hurts does need to run the football.
Okay, who do you think? Okay, it's coming from someone in the coaching staff. Who the hell do you think did that?
I don't know. Kevin Patullo is doing a lot of talking, it seems.
That's it. It's Kevin Patullo. We already know from 2 documented sources that went on the record that they heard it from Kevin Patullo's camp or Kevin Patullo. So Kevin Patullo is there going, he's facing heat, and he's throwing players under the bus. And whether that's right or not, and Kevin may be right or not, that tells me I've got a child in a man's job. I can't have you. I can't have you. Because everybody can point fingers at somebody when things aren't going well.
All I know is there was a time where this Eagles team was very tight-lipped. I see Renee in our YouTube chat. The number one thing to fix is the drama. Well, that should be easy. Stop talking and peddling the nonsense. Easy peasy. They didn't stop talking all year. There was talking all year. Whether you're talking about us, about talking about it, again, it's our job to react to what's coming out of NovaCare, where it seemed like every single week there was some new nonsense with this football team. And I got to look at Nick Sirianni, because that was one of the things that we credited Nick Sirianni for many years. He was able to keep everybody together, keep everything hush-hush. The Chauncey Gardner-Johnson story, do you guys remember this? The week of the NFC Championship game last year that he started a fight at practice and not a single person heard about it?
No, it got down.
We only knew about it because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson talked about it after they won the Super Bowl. That's how hushed they were last year, 1 year ago, when they went to and won the Super Bowl. That is a major story that nobody got a glimpse of.
And it's one of the reasons why nobody was upset that he was exiting the building.
Sure.
One of the many reasons.
That's besides the point.
No, but I'm saying is, though, it was quiet.
Yeah, it was quiet.
It was quiet. The thing is, I believe people start talking when they feel that they're not getting listened to. And that is part of it. Or they feel like they've got a rat. And Kevin Patullo's there talking to people, and it's documented because people directly attributed commentary on podcasts saying, talking to Kevin Patullo,
right.
or hearing from Kevin Patullo. That, to me, if somebody feels that their boss is being a rat to them, they're going to be willing to be a rat to their boss.
Yeah.
If you feel like you've got a great boss, you feel like you've got a boss who behind closed doors can take you out at the knees, but publicly will have your back, you're going to have your boss's back. And it's just the way that they go about their
32 on our YouTube chat. Salciunas and JK, you guys should be smart enough to notice that these stories are coming from staffers that are clearly friends of KP. All right, then you got to get rid of them.
No, they should go.
These stories
I think they're
were
coming
detrimental to the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
No, 32. If that's Steve Carlton, by the way, or someone who's a Steve Carlton appreciation, my brother's one of them. It could be him. I would say this, is that I think it's KP. I think they were coming from Kevin Patullo. And I think he's already going to be out. Get him out of the damn building.
Even though Nick wants him around.
I want him out of the damn building because I don't know how that wasn't addressed. And somebody should ask us this. How do you have a coach talking with other people like that and giving stories about your players?
So we have to look at Nick for this, right? Because Nick Sirianni's the guy that's supposed to be this great culture guy, and I believe that he does. I believe that he is a good culture guy, even though this year was.
So do I.
Even though this year was a bit of a mess, I still believe that Nick Sirianni, great culture guy. I'm not going to tell you that he's the best offensive mind.
No,
but great culture guy, great leader. Very interesting report from Jeff McClain. He has his great podcast, Uncovering the Birds. Obviously, we know that Jeff does a great job covering the Eagles for the Inquirer. And take a listen to what Jeff McClain had to say about Nick Sirianni's job status following the 2023 season and into the 2024 season.
As we all recall, it took forever for Howie and Nick to have that end of season press conference. Again, as it became increasingly clear, and I've since understood, is Nick's future was in doubt.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey was certainly considering moving on at that point. So, there's history here. And Jeffrey has become increasingly impatient when it comes to his head coaches. And in fact, when they got with 2-2 to start the season, and there was that bye there, as I've since now understood and have reported, Nick Sirianni's job was in peril. And, he had to make a lot of changes, and because Jeffrey was going to possibly fire him.
How crazy is that the bye week, where a lot of people wanted him fired?
Yes, there was a lot of people talking.
I didn't want to fire him midseason. I wanted him to let him play out the year. But there were a lot of people. There were people on the station. I remember Kevin Cooney saying, hey, they should fire Nick, during the bye week because the season is still young. You have too much talent here. And this was coming off of the historic collapse the previous season.
I gave a text yesterday to someone that would have potentially been in the know, and I said, if that story is real, who would have taken over? And it would have been Kellen Moore. I was told it would have been Kellen Moore. That he would have been the guy that would have been the guy, which is interesting. I would have thought Vic Fangio.
Unless he just wants to be a DC. Who knows?
I don't know.
They got to fix the drama first and foremost, in my opinion. What do you believe is the number one fix for this Eagles team? If it's not the drama, because I know there's some people complaining about that, you can text in at 610-632-0975. Call in. You can YouTube in. Number one fix that you think the Eagles need to do this offseason to get them back to where they were last year.
Hey guys, Andrew Salciunas, host of Kincade and Salciunas. Just want to thank you for checking out all of our great videos that we have on our YouTube channel every single day. Make sure, if you can, please like and subscribe and check out all the videos that we have on our YouTube channel, whether it's for us, Kincade and Salciunas, of course, our midday show, as well as Unfiltered with Bill and Ricky.